This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 22. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. All right, Shalom. Before we go any further within this lesson, I want to open up by giving all praises, all glory, all blessings with infinite honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKodesh. And I also want to give double honors unto our beloved elder bishops and to the elders apostles of Great Millstone that teach well and that rule well, with much blessings and salutations always going out to the Lord's hopeful elect, to the Akim Wafiu Akwaf that are tuning in. All right, say Shalom. All right, I'm the brother Tazier from GMS Temple, which is located out here in Tampa, Florida. All right, and I want to say, salutations, man, unto those who are laboring within this truth. Okay, scattered across the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatham to you and into your households, man, in these evil days, these evil times as they intensify, bro, because we in those last seconds. All right, we in those few seconds, bro, before Yahweh Shai. All right, once again, Yahweh Shai makes his return, man. All right, Yahweh Shai being the only begotten Son of the Heavenly Father, of whom the people of this world ignorantly call Jesus Christ, man. All right, but let's get into this, because there's a lot taking place right now, man. A lot is going on. All right, from distractions, all right, to the psyops, all right, from the judgments in which Yahweh Shema Shai is displaying on the earth, all right, all around the world, and mainly concerning, the main focus right now, all right, as it is heating up, is World War III, man. This war with Iran, America, and the small hats. Okay, so let's get into it.
These are the first.
All right, a lot of new developments happening with the conflict in the Middle East between the United States and Iran, as we're hearing that new nations are now going to be joining into the war. And in addition to that, new nations, global powers vocalizing their opinions and disapproval for what's going on and how this conflict is now beginning to impact those nations. In addition to that, some breaking news coming out just moments before I went live here, and that is we're hearing Donald Trump has done a reversal on his fees that are going to be charged in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I'm going to be getting you the latest video footage, but it just seems like we're seeing changes.
Oh, and I just want to say fair use. Okay, fair use. This is used for educational purposes only. All right. Not making any money off of this. Fair use.
And shifts happening from minute to minute. Let's go ahead and dive right in and get you caught up on the latest. Saudi Arabia is going to be opening up a new front in the Iran war. They're going to be going alongside the United States and Israel. In addition to that, Russia says renewed strikes against Iran that have just occurred have violated the MOU. They are undermining the nuclear settlement efforts. Today, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he warned Tuesday that renewed military strikes on Iran undermine diplomatic efforts to resolve the standoff over Iran's nuclear program. Russia getting very vocal today regarding the conflict. In addition to that, we do know that Iran is China's indispensable partner, but Beijing is saying they will never fight its war. So at this time, China is saying we're not going to get involved. But this is impacting our economy. And take a look moments ago as well from the live feeds. Benjamin Netanyahu to Iran's leaders. He said, we will respond to any attacks on Israel with far more power. Israel issuing out a chilling threat today to Iran that we are ready to absolutely decimate the remaining Iranian powers. U.S. military yesterday says it had a 5-hour wave of strikes that hit Iran's coastal defenses, missiles, and drone sites. And we're hearing a new wave is going to be hitting today. Donald Trump said Monday and Tuesday We're going to blow up Iran. And yesterday, I covered it for you. People were telling me, oh, I thought that this had happened. This is old news. I was trying to explain, no, it's still happening. 5 hours of attacks unfolded last night from the United States against Iran. In addition to that, we're seeing articles coming out like this. The U.S. attacks Iran and Tehran retaliates across the Middle East, threatening a return to all-out war. And we're hearing that new nations are taking stances and joining into the war today. And can the Gulf countries defend the
only way you can?
All right, a lot of new development.
All right. Those are just, a series of clips, touching on this war that's going on, in the, so-called Middle East, which this war is going to really, this is everybody's war, all right? That's why it's called a world war, but I just want to touch on something Steve Ram said, because, you got people that's not really paying attention to these things, which is ultimately it's prophecy, but they're not really paying attention, all right? But this war is going to be, the war to end all wars, man, all right? And that, I'm touching on this point, all right? The war is going to continue to escalate, and there's going to be strikes and blows and retaliation of Iran and America, and the small hats is going to continue, all right, ultimately to if it fulfills, all right, the will of Yahweh Shimon Shai, all right? Because a lot of these people, man, they don't want this to happen, all right? Because they understand, all right, to a simplified extent, that this is bad, all right? War is bad, but they don't understand that this is the will of Yahweh Shimon Shai, all right? Neither do they know that this is going to be the end, all right, of this current rulership, this current system, which Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, woman, the child, is at the top, all right, starting with these small hats, so this is the perfect time to be rejoicing, bro. We happy as fuck, what I'm saying? Straight up, we love this, man. The prophets, the believers, all right, and everybody else is they're mourning or scared, and in that spirit of concern, because they belong to this world, man. But Isaiah 55 in verse 11, it says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, all right? The word of Yahweh, the one you ignorantly call God, all right? That omnipotent, omnipotent, all right, power, all right? The God, all right? His name is Yahweh, all right? He said it, all right? He's made a decree, man, all right, that these things are going to happen, that there would be a world war, a third woe, just like the first and the second, all right, wars, all right, major wars that took place here, on this earth, all right? It was told, all right, even the prophets prophesied about a third woe that was to come, and now it's here, all right? And it's happening within your lifetime, our lifetime, all right? But the point being made is the Lord, Yahweh, said that this will happen, all right? So Isaiah 55 and 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, all right? And it's power, that's power in itself alone, that the Creator, the Most High, God, Yahweh, spoke these things into existence, all right? It says, it shall not return unto me void, all right? Meaning empty-handed, all right? It says, but it shall accomplish that which I please. So what the Lord will is to what he desires, what he wants it to do, it's going to do exactly that. All right. And so the fact that this war is amping up and heating up, all right, it aligns with the plans of Yahweh Shema Shai. So let's get this real quick. All right. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 3. And it just goes to show you how powerful, all right, the God of the Bible is, man, in which the people of this world don't know, all right, because he hasn't revealed it unto them, all right, not yet, all right. But Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3, it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Lord so powerful, he speaks things into existence, man, all right, concerning the things that we're seeing happening around the world, chaotic events, okay, unnatural, supernatural to that extent, all right, which is, we understand the supernatural is just the spiritual things, all right, far exceeding, the natural things, meaning the carnal. So everything that's happening, man, it's all the Spirit of the Lord. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, these prophecies, which he has spoken, but it says, but at the end it shall speak. And we're at the end. All right, we're at the end of wickedness. What was that? Ecclesiastes, right? I think Ecclesiasticus, or it tells you how deceit shall be quenched. The truth shall flourish. All right, we're in that time where, all right, the truth of the matter in concerning this world, and everything in it is all coming to light, man. All right, and who is in control of the show? What you so-called life, Life. All right, how about Shema Shai? Okay, it's the mastermind behind all these things, man. All right, it tells you how he ruleth in the kingdom of men. In that by his power alone, he's able to set up kings and rulers. And this is why we're seeing, all right, these events happening, man, because it's for a bigger picture in which the Heavenly Father has revealed to his prophets, the servants, okay, those who have that mind, all right, of Yahweh Shema Shai. But for the rest of these people, they don't understand why they're catching so much hell. While they're losing things, losing their mind, their sanity, their livelihood, their jobs. All right, everything is falling away and falling down, from their lives, man, because they're not they not locked in, man, with what's going on. They don't understand, that what's coming is from the Lord, from the Creator himself, from God. All right, which that's just a title. Okay, God is just a title, but from Yahweh, man, because the Creator has a name. All right, and his name is Yahweh. But it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. All right, so it's manifesting. Okay, it's manifesting itself. These things, in which you were given a warning about before they've even happened, man. The prophets warned you. Why you think our elders and apostles, a great millstone, went so hard and currently is still going so hard within his faith? It's because the Spirit, all right, of the omnipotent one is upon them to give you these warnings, to tell you these things, man, before he ultimately reveals himself, all right, through these judgments, man, through fulfilling his words. All right, it says, though it tarry, meaning it looked like it took a minute. Yeah, it was stalling and loading. All right. And which we in those times, man, where the Lord he's going to prove it. Okay, he's going to stand on he already, come on, bro. Come on, man. The king. It's not as if he hasn't already, but the Lord he's been doing this. Been standing on business, man. So let me rephrase that. All right, the Lord is about to show you people basically who he is, man. All right, a God of action. All right, and the only talking he's done, all right, is through his prophets for our sake, man, for the sake of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. That's the only part, man, to show some form, of mercy. He call it, yo, but she my side. All right, but now, that's the mercy doors is closing, bro. All right, it says, wait for it because it will surely come, it will not tarry. All right, and now it's here, it's springing forth. We're seeing it manifest, these prophecies, especially World War III, man, which is a biblical major event. So Revelations 11 and verse 14, it says the second woe is past. All right, and this woe was going into the major world war. All right, this second woe is talking about World War II, which we understand it's happened, it's taking place. This is a part of the U.S. history, really, the whole world, history, because it's a world war. All right, and it says, and now war was going into destruction, man. Okay, a very destructive event, which another one is currently happening, bro. All right, it says, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, and that third woe is here. World War III, it's here. It's been prophesied about, and now it's happening in front of you. Okay, in front of us. Simple. And straight and simple to the point. All right.
These are the first daytime.
Let me finish off on this, though.
The only way you can negotiate with these people is through strength, and the only strength is military strength. We're going to hit them very hard tonight. We're going to hit them very hard tomorrow night. We're going to hit them very hard the night after. And then next week it gets really bad for them, because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges, unless they get to the table and negotiate. Continue until I say it's enough.
It's a major escalation and huge developments with the conflict in the Middle East between the United States and Iran. Some major threats have been issued and huge bombs have been dropped. We're hearing the United States is ready to completely annihilate the IRGC. Take a look at the latest headlines with me coming out from the live feed so you can see it for yourself. Today, July 14th, 2026. It's currently 7:02 p.m. Central Standard Time. Trump threatens to strike Iran's power plants unless a deal is reached. Now, he just did an interview with Fox News that just came out. We're going to be taking a look at it here, and we're hearing that he is going through the methodical process of wiping out the IRGC entirely. Donald Trump claims the shipping routes, they're going to be open to all except Iran ships, as the U.S. issues a new Iran-related sanction on Tuesday. Now, in addition to that, we're hearing alarming new satellite images have been released showing the signs of Iran may be trying to rebuild the suspected nuclear facilities, and the nuclear warnings are being issued. You cannot have a nuclear bomb. You will never have a nuclear bomb. In fact, we will just entirely annihilate you before that happens. Now, as you guys know, we have heard recently from the IRGC, they are saying we have no choice now but to have a nuclear bomb. Is the chance coming out from the hardliners of the IRGC. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has just said, with or without a deal, Iran won't have a nuclear weapon. And the idea.
So what you're seeing right there is just tensions. Okay, tensions. All right, between these nations, which is rising the scale of the disagreements between each other, man. So you know, it's definitely gonna lead, which is it already has, to physical altercations, man. A whole war, bro. All right, a whole war. All right, and this is not just any just war. This is the war to end them all, man. All right, a woe. Okay, we know what consists of a woe, man. It's destruction, man. What happens in war? Mass casualties, man. Casualties. Okay, famine. Okay, death. And that's what's about to, or what's happening right now, not about to. That's what's happening right now. You know, this very moment, very second that we speak. Okay, death, man. People are dying. But hey, that's part of prophecy. All right. And it's only going to keep increasing until Yahweh Shai, all right, puts the cherry on the top, man. So let's get to the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 49, because we've given you the warning, and we're all right, we're telling you, man, this ain't nothing to play with, bro. Repent. All right, the whole point of this is to show you, Jakes, you know, to really, you know, give you the warning, man, from the Lord. All right, so Luke 12 and verse 49, it says, I am come to send fire on the earth. All right, and if you don't understand, all right, when the scriptures are in red letter, that is, all right, Yahweh Shai speaking, the one you people ignorantly call Jesus Christ. All right, these are the words he said himself. So Luke chapter 12 and verse 49 again, it says, I am come to send fire on the earth. So the Lord is returning with fire, man. All right, not hugs and kisses. All right, not goodie baskets, man. You know, not, no gift cards, man. None of that bullshit. Lord said he coming back with fuego, bro. To do what? To melt this bitch. To melt. To burn. To cleanse. All right? To purify souls, man. All right? Via thermonuclear destruction, because this is how this war is going to end. All right? In all out, all right, battle. All right? Of fire and smoke. All right? So Luke 12 and verse 49, I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? So the Lord's saying, all right, you know, you're going to blame me for bringing the heat when the heat already here, man. We're already seeing it. 5 hours, man. The U.S. has been striking Iran for 5 hours back to back. All right, blowing that shit up to what they say, the kingdom high, or blowing that shit up. Come on, man.
Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, they said they are ready to drop massive bombs on Iran. There are warnings coming out regarding the nuclear programs that there will be massive devastation that will unfold in the Middle East if Iran tries to go the route of nuclear. Now, Prime Minister has claimed that Iran already had obtained atomic bombs. Now, some are saying that this is an outright lie, but Benjamin Netanyahu is saying we have just saved the United States and Israel from devastation with this war because the IRGC already had a bomb. Now, we hit those nuclear facilities, Isfahan, Fordo, Natanz, and he said that those sites were enriching uranium up to nuclear weapons grade levels. Now, in addition to that, we've heard a lot about Pickaxe Mountain, and Donald Trump's going to be discussing that as well. We're hearing that they are issuing out the warning. There are about to be major hits. Now,
these are the first daytime strikes that we've seen.
First time we have daytime strikes up until now. It's only been at nighttime.
U.S. Central Command just announced that another round of U.S. strikes are currently taking place against Iranian targets, as officials in Tehran are still unwilling to make a deal.
The continued aggression being carried out by the American regime, our armed forces will respond decisively. Every act of aggression will be met with a firm firm response from the Islamic Republic of Iran. We will leave no act of aggression or action against the Iranian nation unanswered.
Iran has insisted they are not firing at their neighbors, but firing at U.S. targets in those countries.
The president held a meeting in the Situation Room with his top national security team. Sources told the outlet the meeting focused on new plans for devastating strikes on strategic targets in Iran, in addition to the strikes against Iranian targets in the Strait of Hormuz.
A lot of developing news coming out today, July 15, 2026. As we're hearing last night, President Donald Trump held a Situation Room meeting on massive new Iranian strikes, and we're actually seeing this morning a rare daytime morning strike taking place. We have seen a 7-hour stretch of attacks, then followed by another 90-minute wave of attacks. Take a look here. You can see this morning from the live feeds, U.S. launches new strikes on Iranian targets used to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. We're hearing the United States has come in, is dropping bombs all over Iran, all throughout locations where they are attacking shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. And you can see here, boom, CENTCOM smokes Iran's coastal defenses in the morning strikes today. U.S. forces just hammered coastal defense systems and cruise missile sites on Greater Tum Island with precision munitions. 90-minute wave at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning, further degrading Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. America is not playing games. In addition to that, as I've shared with you, this war is not only intensifying, it is also expanding. Take a look. Footage released by the UAE Ministry of Defense shows F-16 striking ballistic missiles. United Arab Emirates launches a platform in Yemen's Al-Hazam district immediately after 2 ballistic missiles were launched towards Abu Dhabi. According to the UAE, both missiles were successfully intercepted. In addition to that, we're also hearing Saudi Arabia is going to be getting in the middle of this as well. So a lot are concerned. This is expanding into a much larger conflict in the Middle Eastern region, and we're concerned that this could grow even further. Since the beginning of this, people have said this could be the potential of World War III, something even bigger. Now we will see. Now this comes as we saw the United States take control of the Strait of Hormuz. We're hearing that maritime traffic is beginning to flow, but it is still at a trickle.
So yeah, man, that's currently what's happening. You know, that's what's going down. You know, exciting times we're in. All right. You know, times where the Lord said, you know, these things would happen, man. So, and it's only going to increase. You know, these are evil things, but we're living in evil times, though. All right. And that's only what's coming to, all right, Babylon the Great and the people of this world, man. All right. Sword, famine, you know, death. These are plagues, man. All right, it just so happens that, all right, within a war, you know, those things take place. All right, so, you know, Lord willing, this vessel was edifying, man. This was just a little, you know, not even a little, but ain't nothing little about this. This is just a update concerning prophecy, man, and you know, the faithful words of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Okay. So, you know, Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying. Hey, for one call like Hashem Shai. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory with infinite blessings to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Till next time I say Shalom. All right, bye. Fuck this place.